Well, hello my good friends, and welcome. It's a beautiful sunny day in December, and it's your good friend Buck Weezer coming at you today once again with another video on YouTube with Buck's Small Engine DIY. And what are we doing? You know it. We're putting the do into do-it-yourself. And this is one of those videos where I'm doing some maintenance on this tractor that I own and wasn't intending to film it. Halfway through I said I should turn on the camera because this might be of interest or maybe of help to some of you who might have a similar tractor setup. So let's talk about what I'm doing. This is an early 90s Craftsman GT6000 garden tractor. It's got a Kohler 18 horsepower engine. I love this tractor. I've had it for a bunch of years. It's my go-to. I do most of my mowing with this. And I also have a snow plow, though I haven't used that in a couple of years. And one of the things I really love come autumn when we're doing leaf cleanup is this three basket grass collector, because I can just mow over leaves. It chops them up, and it makes it's really useful for autumn leaf cleanup. But the last few times I've been using this guy, I've been running poorly, and I decided I just need to do some maintenance. There's some things I haven't done in quite a while, and one of the main things is I wanted to go thoroughly over the carburetor because I've never had the carburetor off or done that, and it kind of needs it. And so today we're gonna do that. I already have the carburetor and air intake assembly removed. Like I said, just doing some of this maintenance, and then decided I should turn on the camera. So that carburetor overhaul is the main thing that we're going to be doing, but I'm just doing all the maintenance. Here's my old air filter. It looks horrible. Got a new one. Haven't done that. Changed it out probably in a couple of years. This intake was all rusty, and I painted it up. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? And the gasket was totally worn. My wife made me a new gasket, cut it out of gasket material on her scan and cut. That turned out fabulously, so I'm happy to be doing that. I have already put in some new spark plugs, 2 of them that are now in, good to go. I changed the oil, new oil filter. So, you know, I've been doing this is just basic maintenance that we all need to do to our machines, and it had been too long on some of these items. But mostly today, it's about the carburetor, which you've already gotten off. We're going to clean it. I'm going to show you we're going to assemble it and reinstall it. And hopefully, the combination of all these items of maintenance is going to have this running better. It was running really rough, running poorly, then it would recover itself, but it wouldn't idle very well and stall out. And I don't think I've got any serious problems. I think I just overdue on some of this basic maintenance, particularly the carburetor. Alright, so let's go in and take a look at that carburetor, and then once that's ready we can install it together and put this guy back together. Well, okay, we're in here at my desk, and I have laid out in front of me a variety of things, including the carburetor, which is disassembled and totally cleaned out. Got parts down here that we're going to reuse, at least some of them. And I picked up the carburetor rebuild kit. Now this would fit a variety of Kohler carburetors, Walbro carburetors, so you got to look it up for yourself. Well, for this particular carburetor, you can see the part number there, 2575711-S. But here's the thing: when I got this, I knew that I bought it on eBay, 20 bucks or so, and I knew that it was new old stock, but I was a little concerned when I got it, and I could see that the top of it had been opened before and taped shut with cellophane tape. And sure enough, when I went to pull out all the parts, I realized I'm missing some significant components from this kit. I'm missing the bowl gasket, I'm missing the bowl nut gasket, and I think it's also missing the the gasket that would be from the carburetor to the intake manifold. So that was kind of discouraging. Apparently someone had used the kit, taken the parts that they needed, and then taped it up and sold it. Well, I got my money back, no big deal there. I just lost a few days in waiting for it. And then I decided I'm going to just pick up one of the aftermarket kits, and I bought that on Amazon. I think I bought it on Amazon. But this, fortunately, has everything in it that we need, and nothing seems to be missing. I can see in there that it's got the bowl gasket. Parts rolling around. So yeah, here's the bowl gasket. We're going to need that. Here's the bowl nut gasket, right? And probably this is the carburetor to intake manifold gasket right there. So it looks like we got everything we need, and you get a lot more than you actually will need because these kits serve a variety of carburetors. So here it all is, and we're going to put this back together. Now I've totally cleaned it outside and inside. I put it through the ultrasonic cleaner, and this guy's ready to go. I had never done much work on this carburetor, so I think this might be the first time that I actually ever took it down, took it apart to clean it out thoroughly and to use the rebuild kit. So I got this little piece of blue tape there you might be wondering about, and I will show you why I have that there. The throttle linkage is connected with, and there's this little plastic bushing. It inserts right in there. Sure if you can see it. But that's a piece you don't want to lose. That makes for a bad day. So I just used a little piece of tape on there to keep me from losing it. Alright, so I'd split the carburetor apart into two pieces. This one's really the carburetor, and this is just an intake tube. It's kind of a 90. And the air cleaner assembly sits on top of this. So it's got to bolt up here, right? And there's a gasket there, which is gone, of course, because we're going to replace that. So I got to find that particular gasket, which might be this guy. Kind of a jigsaw puzzle, right? Maybe that's not it. Yeah, there we go. So he's going to go on there like that. And then we got 3 screws that will hold that in place. So I wanted to share with you an interesting story. It's interesting to me anyway, about this GT6000, this tractor that we're working on now. And it goes like this. When I first bought the property where I currently live, it was 1998. The neighbor behind me, the family, the guy who owned the property behind me, name is Brian Propp. And as a hockey fan and a Philadelphia Flyers fan, that name certainly was familiar to me because he's a great Flyers forward on the Philadelphia Flyers in, a bygone era. Now, I never met Brian Propp, but he was the guy who owned the property back there. His wife did come out at one point to scold us for letting our dog run on their property, so I guess she had a point there. I've never met Brian Propp. But anyway, Brian Propp sold the property sometime between 2000 and 2005. And I got a new neighbor named Tim. Well, apparently Tim inherited with the property, or I should say was included in the sale, or maybe the Propp family just left these two GT6000 tractors as part of the sale, or just left them on the property. So my new neighbor Tim inherited these two tractors, and he's not much for tinkering. They'd been sitting in the yard, and he knew that I enjoyed tinkering with lawn tractors and such. And he also wanted to get himself a new tractor. He wanted to get one of these compact utility tractors. So he offered me both of these GT6000s at no charge, which I was happy to accept. And I fixed them up, got them running, and the one we're working on today is the one I kept. I sold one, kept the other, and it's been a great tractor. It's for a bunch of years now. So to me, since I'm a Flyers fan, you've probably seen me decked out in my Flyers hat or my Flyers gear sometime when working on some of these tractors. It's cool to have a tractor that used to be owned by one of the players from the Philadelphia Flyers, Brian Propp. I've always wanted to put a Flyers sticker emblem on the back of the tractor. Just never got around to it. I should follow through with that. So the tractor's kind of special to me for that reason. Plus, just a great tractor. Alright, so let's continue here. I want to put the needle and seat and the float back in. And the new kit, as you can see here, came with a couple of different needles and some small springs or wires that are part of holding the needle onto the float. So I'm reusing the same float. Now here's the old needle. It's got that wire at the top, which I think would be this guy. That's a small little piece right there. And the needle's got a rubber tip, and I think it's going to be this guy right there. They look the same. Although the original one looks aluminum, the new one looks like brass. So if I'm going to use the new one, I've got to figure out how to get this on there. Which might not be too terribly difficult if it weren't for the fact that it's so darn small. Now we're back. Alright, so there's my new needle. It's got the little hook on it. And so that's supposed to keep it on the float. Like that, except that's not very tight. And it comes off very easily. Bent it a little bit, that might tighten it up a bit. Alright. So now we're going to gently set that into its spot. New float hinge pin. That feels a little loose. Yeah, I think that's too small. Look at those. New one on the right, old one on the left. I think I better go with the old one. Alright, that's pretty good. And then you want to verify that the float looks level. Seems alright to me. Don't tell anyone, but I like to test the float, see if it's sealing, by just putting my mouth on the end here, the fuel inlet, Just blowing a little bit of air in there. And I can't blow through it. That means it's sealing and seating properly. If I were to turn it on over like this and the float's hanging, then yeah, I can easily blow air through it. But when the float moves up here, as the gas fills the bowl, it shuts that off and I can't blow air through it. So I know that that needle is seating very well on the seat and it's not going to leak. That's especially important when you got tractors that are gravity fed fuel system. This one of course has a fuel pump. But I realized I did something out of order because I got this piece I forgot to put in. So I'm going to pull that float off again. This piece goes down first. Alright, now the needle and the float. Alright. How's that look to you? Alright, I think that's good. I want to put the bowl on, so I'm going to get the new bowl gasket. Probably needs to stretch a little bit. It's on now. Just check and make sure it didn't twist up on me. I think that looks pretty good. Alright. Let's use our new bowl nut gasket. Here's our bowl nut. Set the bowl in place. Looks pretty good. So I'm using a 13mm socket here. And that's that. Alright. Now we've got these two jets. Main jet needle and the low speed needle. I did not, new kit didn't come with those, so I'm going to reuse them. They're all good and clean. And you got a spring here, so this is a main one, and he comes down here. And I'm going to use a screwdriver. I'm going to take it all the way down till it stops. Don't over tighten it, just put it in till it stops. And then I'm going to back it off a turn and a half. And once we get the tractor running, if we need to, we can adjust it. Okay, that's stopped. So there's half a turn, there's a full turn, there's a turn and a half. Alright. And the low speed goes right up here. And I'm going to similarly insert that and tighten it down. Just take it down until it stops. And I think on this one I might just back it off one full turn. stops, half, one full turn. That's that. What remains? I think there'd be a lot more to do when you have this many parts and gaskets left over. I don't think I need any of those. I think the only one that I'm going to need when we get back out to the tractor is this guy right here. But depending on your situation, you may need these parts based on the carburetor you're rebuilding on your tractor. So that's it. It's really a simple one. And it's clean and assembled and ready to go back outside. Okay, so let's see about getting this carburetor installed. It shouldn't be too difficult. We have the fuel line to connect and a clamp here. We got the throttle linkage up here. And we got two posts, threaded posts. We got two 13mm nuts there. We have the choke cable, but I think we can do that, connect that after it's up and in place. So I got the gasket here. I'm going to start by pressing the fuel line on. And we'll tighten that clamp later. Move this guy up into place. And then these two nuts. You know what's interesting? This motor is a mouse magnet. Almost every year I have to take his shroud off and clean out Fluffy's nest that he built up, usually over the winter. Could happen in the summer if I go a while without using this tractor. You would not believe the number of times that I've had this open to clean out a mouse nest. Sometimes it means fixing chewed wires. It's amazing. I have a cat who likes to be outside, and she is capable of catching these mice, but they still love this particular motor. Alright, so those are going on. Can't quite get this on there. I have to use an open-end wrench. Let's see. It's okay. That one I can't quite get the ratchet on it. There's one. Now let me get a 13mm wrench. Amazingly, it was sitting right on top. Must be my lucky day. I think that's good. Alright, that's up. Next we're going to do this throttle linkage, which is the only part that's a little bit hairy. I had told you about this plastic bushing. So he can fit through there, no problem. But then there's another part that's a little bit hairy. Which involves pressing this fitting into place at the bottom of that wire to hold it on. I don't know if you can see that. Comparing it to this one down here. Yeah. Doesn't feel like my Okay, I think I got it on reasonably well. Not sure if you can see that too well. Right under here, this fastener. So it seems like it's on there all right. Okay. Okay, let's try this choke linkage. Clips in there. I had used a marker when I was taking this off, and I put a black mark here and a black mark here on either side of this, so I could put it in at the same spot. Just a little trick so I don't have to experiment or guess where it needs to go. That looks like a 1/4 inch. And this one's kind of important to know where it goes, because you can't see the choke plate when you look down the throat here with this 90, because the choke plate's right over here where my finger is, but you can't see that by looking down. So I needed to make those marks so I could put it the same spot. And there's the choke action. Alright, so I think that's good. The only thing I think I need to do is tighten the clamp on the fuel line. Okay, so here's our newly painted air cleaner assembly. Not perfect, but it's better than it was. And here's our crankcase breather tube. It's got to come up through this hole. That. This guy sits right on there. Now we got these 4 screws. All right, I'm not going to put the air filter on yet because I expect to have to cheat a little bit, prime this thing maybe with some starting fluid, since the carburetor bolt is at this moment completely empty. But I think it's about time to start this guy up, see how it runs. Okay, let's start it up. A shot. Actually sounds pretty good, even though I know we're just running on the starting fluid there. See some fuel in our filter. Running now. Oh my goodness, that sounds so much better. My goodness, that sounds so nice. This isn't one of those engines that I think if you take care of it, just gonna run forever. That just sounds so good. There we go. All right, that wraps up this video, I think, guys, and I only brought you along for half the project, but I promise you the tractor's running so much better. I think the lesson is don't neglect maintenance on your own equipment. You know, we spend a lot of time working on stuff for other people, or, you know, working on videos, whatever, and to the neglect of my own machine. But you know, it's interesting. We didn't have to adjust the carburetor jets at all beyond what we did when we assembled it, and ran great, perfect. So I want to thank you for watching the video. Your comments and questions are always appreciated. Hopefully it was video, even though it was only half of the project, that it was worth your while and of help to you. So thanks for watching, and as I always like to say, remember, only you can put the do into do-it-yourself. I'll see you next time. There we go. Now the job's done. Thank you, Mr. Brian Propp, for this great machine. Go Flyers.